steering with the hips and the shoulders and not really the legs at all. So, hi guys, so today we're going to learn about why leg steering is important for our ability to be able to ski all terrain and even just ski green, blue, and black groomers well. And leg steering is the ability for my femur to twist underneath my pelvis. In fact, one of my biggest pet peeves when people tell me that their hips turn their skis, because hips can mean a bunch of stuff here. And I will say that there are times that your pelvis is actually turning your skis or turning against your skis. There's also times when the hips and the shoulders may follow, or just the hips may follow. This video isn't about that. This video is more about getting the initial basic leg steering to happen so that we're able to manage that rotational control throughout all that more fancy stuff that more expert level skiers might do, like hip follow through, or hip and shoulder follow through, or hip counter. And we're not even going to talk about some of that stuff. You can see it in a lot of people skiing, but the ability to turn my legs, maybe at first just one of them, but eventually both of them without my hips and my shoulders twisting, is key to becoming a more advanced level skier. And if you don't know this, but you are skiing on like advanced or expert level terrain, you are essentially a beginner at this skill. So we're going to walk through some drills to get better at this. Some you may not like, and honestly, this is something that's really hard to learn because there isn't much external feedback that you're going to feel when you do this. You're going to have to get a camera on yourself, and you're going to have to see if you're actually doing it. So one of the things you could do real quick to practice is if you have a nice binding like these pivots, pivot cult, right? You could stand on them, get them just about, I don't know, hip width apart, roughly, maybe narrower. Maybe stand on them right in the middle of your boot, hold your poles up high, and you can steer. And you can learn to steer your legs without your pelvis going. The other one that I like to do is I call it the drunken sailor. And it's whenever I try to walk with my hips pointed one direction, but I twist my legs every which way. And I'm gonna do it right towards the camera. And this looks really easy, but if you go try this, the amount of adults and kids I see who can't do this, it's pretty incredible. They all want to do this. And like that, in that motion, instead of actually just turning our legs. So again, this is good. This is bad. This is what people tend to do. So, and those are just two off-so things you can do to kind of get some idea about your leg steering. And we're gonna go ahead and roll some on-stow stuff too. Another drill that can facilitate leg steering in all levels, in fact, I actually teach this to some of my never-evers. So if they can do this, I don't have to teach it later on, is a one-footed J-turn. And what I do when I do this is I make sure that, I make sure that, first of all, that you're gonna have one ski on. It's a lot easier to pull it off. Sometimes I actually lose the poles. I'm probably just gonna hold mine halfway so that you don't see them. And I encourage them to drag their inside heel and to point their both their toes together so that that can facilitate the outside leg steering in. So, and the way this looks is, I'm gonna make this look really easy. I know I am, but go try it yourself. It's pretty hard. The funny thing is I've seen never-evers be able to do this better than that right ski. Drag my left foot, and then turn my right foot underneath me. My hips are gonna follow, that's fine. As long as the motion starts my leg steering, it's great. I'm not trying to push left, I'm not trying to twist left, I'm trying just to take my right foot and twist that to the left. Again, standing on the left foot, right foot's gonna drag, it's gonna form into a wedge, and I'm just gonna steer with my left foot. You're gonna see my alignment deficiency here, potentially. So again, there's a little bit of a double fall line there too. Here, we'll do it more towards you. Level you are, the place that if I was your coach, I would start you with trying to learn how to get your legs to steer separately from your hips is actually with wedge turns or wedge Christies. I don't really care how you do them, but I want you to intentionally twist your outside ski in more than your inside ski. If the inside ski matches, that's fine. I'm not here to make you good at a wedge turn. I'm here to make it so your legs can steer underneath your hips. And one thing about the wedge turns we're gonna do is the wedge turn should look like this. It should not look like this. If you're pushing the outside ski in front, that's a bad wedge turn. And if you're coaching that, it's not to like a 3-year-old, just stop. It's not good to coach it to adults. You can teach them how to turn their legs instead. And so it's going to be outside leg steering. It's going to cause my wedge, is going to cause me to actually change direction here. And this is the most basic way that we can kind of learn this. And it's actually really hard to do these right. Some wedge turns, and I let some of them Christie on purpose. Again, it doesn't matter if it's a wedge turn or wedge Christie, as long as I'm turning my outside leg in first and I'm making a smooth analog movement with the outside leg, it's going to help me get better at my actual skiing. So if you also notice, my hips did not initiate the turn. I was never twisting my hip. Some more intermediate ways after you get the initial leg steering happening in your wedge turn, your wedge Christie, and your open parallel, and you want to kind of build on that separation of my femur in the hip socket, is javelins, which I've used for outside ski balance, actually help out quite a bit too. It's about getting my outside ski to twist underneath the inside ski, the lifted inside ski. It's okay to drag your tail and knees. Another like intermediate way, and kind of the nuclear option to get somebody to get their femurs to finally separate from the hips, is to do a stem step turn. And I want to be clear that these are like the antithesis of like good skiing in a lot of ways. The fact that we're stepping out, we're moving outward to the right to not go left, and we're also not tipping into the turn. But they do get people out of their movement patterns, and it can be very useful for getting somebody's legs to separate from their hips. I would only do these if you really understand how to get out of them too, because they are very powerful, and it'll get your legs to steer, but they can also get you to start stem stepping into turns, which isn't the best thing. So, are you ready?
Yep.
So, the more you can twist your foot out and make the pizza, the better it will work. You can even go. Realize that these skills, I'm practicing them for like 30 seconds to a minute or so. You're going to be doing this for days, if not weeks, to correct a movement pattern. So it can take a very, very long time to be able to correct a movement pattern. If you already possess a movement pattern of steering your hips and steering your spine and your shoulders into turn, trying to get your legs to steer is going to be hard. It's not going to happen just overnight. So the very expert level stuff that we can start to do, one of them is called a stem hop turn. And these are really, really good to see if your legs can actually steer separately from your body. So the way you can practice it first is just everything that's straight down the hill. There's a line right here. That's the fall line. And kind of have my pole straps, my poles right here to kind of block. And if I can steer and step, that's how it's. Are you ready?
Yep.
Go hit the book so I can hop. And again, my legs are steering, but my body is not steering with my legs. Going too fast. Pivot slips are kind of a more advanced form of this. For some people, they're going to perceive it as just their legs steering underneath of them. So I'll do it right here, as their legs steering underneath them. Some people are going to perceive it as their legs steering and their hips countering the other way. I personally have to counter my hips to do this. I understand if you don't have to, but that's how I perceive it. So I would say that the javelin turn, the stem step, the stem hop are kind of in an intermediate zone. The stem hop's getting in the advanced zone. And then pivot slips, the ability to be able to do, hop turns, the ability to basically do an airborne pivot slip with a strong walking pole plant starts to go into that expert realm of being able to master leg steering. And these are both a drill, but also a tactical choice themselves. They can drill other things besides leg steering, but we're using it today just for leg steering. And when you watch this, you'll notice my hips are going to be facing down the hill. My skis are going to turn underneath of them, and there's going to be some separation between each of my skis as I do so. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you get something from this video about how to be able to turn our legs or femurs underneath the stable pelvis. If you cannot do this, please go back and start from the beginning. Don't think you're going to be able to start with the pivot slips, the hop turns, or even the javelin turns. I honestly think there's a lot of merit in going back and learning how to do a wedge turn with outside leg steering and being able to learn how to do this. And I really I almost never have success with teaching this to people unless we're able to go back to that first step. Maybe not the walking steps, but definitely being able to turn our legs at a lower speed lets us be able to separate those legs from our hips. So, and again, there are times that my hips and my shoulders are going to follow, and I'm doing a lot of follow here. There's times they're going to counter, and there's times, and the PSI does not agree with me on this, but there's a lot of people in the elite skiing world who do, that my hips and my shoulders are actually going to lead my legs in. But until we get our legs to separate from our hips, any of that other stuff is just not going to happen. And I know it's a little bit longer, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more tips, tricks, ski hacks, and Stoke.